Okay, you guys, welcome to Southside Notes. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. And what I want to do is I want to welcome you to Chicago Southside. I got so frustrated with people talking about all the negative aspects of Chicago Southside. I decided to start a show featuring all of the positivity that we have. And of course, welcoming some of my Southside neighbors. My first neighbor that I'm going to welcome is Sir the Baptist.
Yo.
We are in Bronzeville. Bronzeville is a historical area in Chicago. We have lots of history, musical history, and Sir grew up here.
Yeah.
I'm a transplant, Sir. So I've only been here for 20 years. So when do I stop calling myself
20 years?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been here for 20 years.
That's family. Come on.
And your dad's church is up the street, right?
Yeah, right up the street.
Okay. So Sir is a gospel hip hop artist. He's been, I mean, if you listen to his music, I always say that his music is my internal voice as a Christian. So I want him to share a little of his journey, but I welcome him into my house. So the first thing I need to do is make him a drink. You ready for that?
Let's do it.
All right. So I'm just going to, it's the afternoon. Okay. People don't know what time it is, but it's the afternoon. So we're just going to make some spiked lemonade.
All right, cool.
All right. So I think the best thing a person should know with their partner or when their friend comes over is they should know what their drink is. Okay. Right. Yeah. So do you have a go-to drink? Do you drink? Look, do you drink? Is this secular activity?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's cool.
Do you have a go-to drink?
I'm actually endorsed by Glenfiddich.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
So it's Scottish whiskey.
Scottish whiskey.
Yeah, they took me overseas to see like the fields and everything.
The process?
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so you like to come home to maybe a glass of nice whiskey then, right?
Or what you're making.
I appreciate it. Yeah, because you are my guest. So you got to
you know what I mean? It's kind of whatever to me.
You're open.
Yeah, I'm open.
Okay. I started to develop my palate. I do like vodka. So that's one thing that I do love. And vodka is an easy go-to drink to spike anything, pretty much any beverage that you drink, like a lemonade or something to that effect. So what I took was some lemon juice, some simple syrup, and then I'm going to add, you probably can tell what this bottle is, but we're not going to mention the brand name. But I'm going to add some of this vodka. Now, sometimes I add too much, so I always keep this jigger in place, so I already know what to add, okay? So I'm going to shake it up for you. Don't worry about that bottle. So I'm going to shake it up for you. I want you to be honest now, okay? Tell me if it's a good spiked. Now, also, I have some popcorn, because whenever you have company over, you should offer them some food. Don't just let them just sit there and wonder what to do. So I try to welcome my guests and bring some food. Now, this is popcorn, but I'll put the recipe at the bottom when you guys check in a little bit later. But there's some cinnamon, maple sugar, and then a little bit of salt on there too. So as we start conversing, you can have some popcorn and enjoy the flavor, hopefully, right? Yeah, my daughter actually loves to make this, so that's one of my favorite things to make.
You guys are making popcorn.
Yeah. She's a little chef, but she likes to take over my kitchen.
That's pretty dope.
Cool. So I'm glad that you came over. So now that I did all my talking, I want to learn more about you. In the intro, I said that I believe that your music, from listening to your lyrics, that it's like an internal dialogue of what's actually going on with Christianity. Can you give me any feedback on that? Like when you're doing your writing process, like what are you thinking about when you're writing your process? Are you thinking about gospel music, or are you just thinking about what you feel?
Both.
Okay.
I apply my music like you would your studies. So it takes a long time, and that really piss off like labels and distributing companies.
But you walked in with the book, and I've looked through your book. You were highlighting and everything, so that's good. You're very studious.
So it's
I appreciate that.
So it's all about how do I apply what I know to the universe, right? And then I go out of that like broad space, and then I go, what does my neighbor actually need?
Oh, okay.
You know, and that makes me focus even more on, as a Christian, what am I carrying the weight of? Like everyone should have a weight on them. It sort of gives us this thing. So that's when I think about, you know, all my friends that are in church, lost and trying to find their way past all the dogma. So that's when I apply that universal thinking into the church. But the universal thinking is already at a considering God level. So I think of God first.
Right.
And then I think of how to apply it to the people that's the closest to me.
But I think that's what a lot of people say the church is moving away from, in a sense. They're not worried about the people in the church or in the congregation, but more of what they want to put out there. But they're not thinking or hearing from the people, right? Yeah. And God was a part of the people, right? So he immersed himself in that. So we don't want to get too biblical, but you incorporated hip hop, because I introduced you as like a gospel hip hop artist. Yeah. So who are some of your hip hop influences?
Obviously, like Jay-Z.
Okay. Look, I'm a Jay-Z. Like, don't make me start.
Yeah,
I don't want to embarrass myself.
And I love Jay-Z just because I love the lyrics, right? But I know where they're coming from.
Right.
So it's easier for me to find him timeless. You know what I mean?
I think we relate to him because he's genuine, right? Because you can trust the things that he's saying. Yeah. He tells a story. I say he and Nas you can sit there and listen to the story and watch it go through. Yeah. Any other influences? What about local influences? Because you grew up here.
All my influences are of my dad's time.
Okay. Like
so,
who?
1924.
Outside of hip hop? Okay.
My dad was born 1924, so all my influences that are from Bronzeville are of that time. So like Louis Armstrong.
Yeah, his house is up the street.
Nat King Cole, whose house is right down the street from there. You know what I mean? So I'm inspired by that.
So much history in Bronzeville that I don't think Bronzeville gets a lot of respect.
Not like it ought to. Like I saw that the I think it's Sunset Cafe is now, first of all, it was an Ace hardware store. Now it's a beauty supply place.
Yeah,
and it's just like no one can go in and just turn that into a project that we can preserve all the legacy that came through there. Okay. Like it's a lot of legacy right upstairs. Yep. Those walls, people come from all over the world to look at. So they're like,
where do you see Bronzeville in 10 years? Because I'm seeing a block over, they're building this huge apartment complex, and I know it's going to be outpricing the rest of the neighborhood. So where do you see it going in 10 years?
I think it could draw the millennials back. It'll draw, the youth back. It'll draw the next generation in because of the story, but it won't be owned by us. Oof. And the reason
why...
How's
that going to change? That dynamic is going to be strange.
Yeah.
Because they're going to try to tell us how to behave, in a sense. I think that's the thing with gentrification.
Or just holding on to the ownership more than telling us how. I think they'll have the ownership and be like, you take the pride in it, but we'll take the property.
That's a good perspective. Yeah, I'm getting pretty nervous about this whole process. Yeah. But I don't even know the process of not trying to stop gentrification, because I think I'm part of the process of gentrification. I think we kind of put race into it initially, but it is a class issue, right?
Yeah, it's a class issue.
Yeah, okay. So with your father's church right there, because I've heard about your father's church and how he demanded to stay there, right? He didn't want to give up the church. He felt Bronzeville was his home.
Right.
So how do you feel about that connection?
Well, my brother who took over the church is of the generation that kind of got stabled and moved out of Bronzeville, or stayed in Bronzeville and played politics. So it's kind of like when we get into that, the wrestling of who's going to have what.
Right.
It's
ego sometimes too.
Yeah, it's all about the city just saying, no, this is what we're going to do. So while my dad was really, focused on that. I don't think the generation of my brother is interested in that part. So it's going to take the generation of my kids maybe to come back and buy up with what they have. Okay. But it has to be bought back.
But that's what I appreciate about you, that honesty, because that's what your music displays. Like, I was listening to your lyrics and you talk about Lambos, but then in the other line you're talking about, but we need to get closer to God and these different types of things. So how do you deal with those kind of, I don't want to say polar opposites, but that dichotomy of being being true to the world and being true to yourself and with your lyrics and things such as that as an artist? Well,
you know what, it's not that hard to do, right? Because like you have so many people depending on you to say something that matter, So sometimes I wish I could, like, I was talking to a friend the other day and I was just like, man, I wish God didn't give me that weight.
Okay.
Because then I could like have a lot of money,
Right.
drive crazy cars, didn't care about what chick I came into or
Right,
not,
right.
or didn't care about what, you know, who I was selling drugs to before I love Jay, and I put Jay-Z on my list of favorite rappers, right?
You know, people forget that he was a drug. I think people really have forgotten that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like me and Jay-Z, I could never compare myself to Jay-Z because Jay-Z sold drugs.
Right.
And then started.
Yeah.
That was his start, and I understand
But
that.
now he just invested into drugs again.
But it's even harder
to not
sell drugs.
Okay.
And get on.
To stay on that path. Right.
That's harder.
So do you find that influence in the industry constantly? You're like,
yes.
You're like, have you heard what I
said? It's what it is. But but for a young, so let's just say you have a son. Your son says, you know, Mom, I could like do this, and I'll get myself through, and I'll quit after that. Then he just goes, oh, but it worked last month. You know, we could do it again if we wanted to. You know,
real quick.
Yeah. So the harder part is for your son to say, I'm not going to sell drugs to my neighbor. I'm not going to, in any sort of way, put myself in a position to lose my family.
Yeah.
Or to not be in my family, to be displaced, jailed for potentially life. It's much harder for a kid to do that. Yeah. And I think if we're going to change anything, we have to change the step-by-step process, because that's what it's kind of been. Like, do something on the side, get your hustle, get out there, and then that's it. And
build it up, and then go out.
When in reality, like, you take your genius, you find an investor, then you know, like, you build a product, and you find an investor, you build an idea, a presentation, you work on it.
The long.
Long haul. It might take you 10 years, it might take you 20. You get back into it. You might have some kids, feel like you ain't made it happen yet. You get back into it again. You know what I mean? That's so hard.
That's a testament to faith, though, too, right? Do you trust in this process? Are you actually going to win in the end? And what is the definition of winning, in a sense?
Yeah, I think the good thing about Jay is that he always probably felt like he was going to win, right? And
he talked about his struggle too.
Yeah,
he talked about selling to his friends.
And how it gets to him. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like I'm wondering, would I prefer the money and that on me, that weight? Because that's weight too. Right. You know what I mean? So that's it's interesting.
I think people think money cures and solves everything, but it doesn't. Yeah, you'll still have that internal struggle.
Yeah. We all gonna have that in some sort of way, and because life gives you something, you know.
And I think parents need to prepare kids for that. I think when we enter adulthood, we're not ready for all these different struggles and things like that. Yeah. Okay, so let's get to some fun stuff. Okay. So I listened to your single, I Still Love You, and I love it.
Thank you.
Let us see. I mean, that's so impressive, right? Yeah. So all of your collabs, I've seen the list of all of your collabs. Yeah. So tell me about I Still Love You.
I Still Love You was for church people.
Okay. You still love them?
Yeah.
Even though they may not love you all the time?
Oh, absolutely. Right. Like, okay, I wore, this is an example of how much I care for them, whether they like me or not, right? I wore a shirt to Jamal Bryant's church, and it said, God is pro-choice.
You were intentional when you put that on, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm in Atlanta, right? I need to prove a point that you guys need to make a side, to pick a side and not just be quiet on the situation. Yep. So I go up there, I perform. There's me, Donald, Kiera, Ty Tribbett, Kiki Wyatt, everybody on stage, right? Right. And then I go to the back, and they're like, "Yo, you have to take your shirt off." Okay. And I'm like, "Why?"
The gospel.
Right. The back of my shirt said the Garden of Eden. And God didn't remove the tree. Yeah. He gave you your choice. You know what I mean? So whatever you think that is, yes or no, that's between you and God. Right. That's not between, and in the end of the day, it wasn't really about a fruit. It's about an agreement between you and God. So whatever your agreement is between you and God, that's what it's about. You know what I mean? So although they might not love me, I'm for the best of the future. Right. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it is. But I'm not really worried about that.
I mean, but in your song, you tell so many truths within those different lines and how the common sense, all those different, like I saw those, I was like, oh, I love these wordplay. But I really just respect your penmanship. I respect you as both a hip hop and gospel artist. Because I will tell you that I have that internal struggle too. It's like, Lord, I'm praying, but then I'm sitting here rapping, I'm like, oh, just help me out. Those different things. But I think that's what represents a Christian, right? The honesty that you have versus trying to play that everything's cool, right? And still loving everybody despite that. You were in marketing. Like this is another thing. I was at Leo Burnett last week, right? So I did a speech
I got good people.
So you got you know how to stir things up. That's where that comes from. I know that connection.
That's a Chicago thing too. Because Kanye got that problem.
It's a problem? Is it a problem?
It's a problem.
He's getting results. The results that he wants.
But it's still a problem.
Okay. I don't think he cares about how he gets there though.
It's funny though. It's funny
to watch the process, but it's Chicago all day, right?
It's
like
Chicago. That's Chicago. Antagonistic, purposeful.
That's a perfect point to get off on. How people think they know of Chicago from the media, but when you live here, you know the real Chicago, and you can see some of those traits you like. And people from Chicago, because they'll even ask people like Common and. Do you think should you be friends with Kanye? And Common's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
So that I want people to know more about Chicago from versus the crime shows versus what the media puts out on us, because I think we know the true Chicago. And I work in another part of the city, but I choose to live here because I love seeing people like me every day that I wake up. All right. So thank you so much, but we still need to do a cheers real quick. Okay. So you got to test this out. Salud. All right. Oh yeah. Okay, and there's some vodka in there.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you. So thank you so much for coming to my house, and don't be a stranger because we are neighbors, right? So you guys, thank you so much for joining Southside Notes today. This is our premiere episode. So if you guys want to know about the real Chicago Southside and you want to meet people from Chicago Southside, make sure you subscribe below and you make sure you tune in on the regular. Deuces.